All right, well, we're going to the distance, the very first map of the series, taking it to overtime. But in the end, TSM coming out on top 14-12. And looking back at that series, TSM had a hot start. And then GLRS, they started finding their groove a little bit, started getting more used to the environment. And like Sato just completely demolishing that second half.
Yeah, I mean, he was doing exactly what we were sort of expecting from GLRS, right? I mean, we hyped him up, we hyped up Luxo, but it kind of felt like they were having such a slow start. And despite the savings grace from the 3 1v2s that they've won, I think it just wasn't enough. It really felt like TSM was sort of leading the charge in that first half. And yeah, they did slow down a little bit in the second half, but towards the end, they kind of just regained their confidence enough to close out the map.
Yeah, and being able to find that confidence again is going to bode well in the series, or even with the next map being one of their pick. You want to make sure when you're going into this unknown quantity that you're going to be cooking. And some of these hop shots coming out from Sim, as we got to see that one. I mean, Sim has a cheeky shot.
Yeah, Sim did a really good job actually on getting the opener pick. So many times we saw him creeping up somewhere at long or holding an angle on truck and just getting that first opener with an op, and they still ended up losing the round, so that's really unfortunate there. It ended up going into OT though. We swapped over to the defensive side, and then GLRS was getting more rounds. But I want to talk about the deadlock because I just really liked how they were using the utility from a Protoss deadlock. I feel like deadlock is a difficult agent to play. It's not very easy. You have to be very mindful, very demure when you're on deadlock. And a Proto was doing a really good job.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely vouch for that. I really did feel like a Proto was doing a lot of work, especially when it came down to holding down the sites. Like, it really felt like the crouch bombs were just perfectly placed. Like, every time it felt like GLRS wanted to hit a site, or even in the retakes, they were just constantly getting grab netted over and over and over, and it really just felt like they're spending half their time just crouched trying to get out of the net. But yeah, I mean, also to touch on a bit of a performance here from the TSM side, Sim had an insane series, yeah, but so did Seven, the two players that we hyped up on the TSM side. And again, this is a Seven factor. Whenever he's having a good game, whenever Sim's having an okay game, together it's just like the matches just feel so much easier for TSM.
Yeah, even when we get down to that overtime too, I mean, Seven with like the biggest pop off and the biggest moment, being able to get ult to just close out the game. No ifs, ands, or buts. Definitely super well done in this. So the TSM, that this individual prowess is something that even when they were taking losses in the regular season, we had always praised them for the skill across the board that each of these players had. So being able to see it come together today, take the first game of the series, is definitely great. But GLRS is definitely showing that they have a lot of fight in their tank. And so looking ahead at the series, especially with Sato being able to play as he did, I'm intrigued with how the rest of it's going to be going down, because once we are looking at this unknown quantity, that is entirely TSM that's going to be on this back foot. I don't think because we haven't seen GLRS on this that, oh no, that something might be wrong. No, they just haven't had the chance to play it. So I think there is still very much so the potential of a third map, especially with how close that first was.
Yeah. And it was kind of a slow start, I feel like, on the first half of Bind. And so now everybody's kind of woken up. It got more exciting towards the end, in my opinion. We were seeing multiple kills from Sato as well, with clutches also from Luxo. So if they show up again going into map 2, now that everybody's warmed up and the tank has been oiled, then we will see, because on Haven, again, we haven't seen much, in fact, anything, actually, from GLRS. So we're not really sure what to expect from them. But like Roy, I think you were mentioning that can be kind of a disadvantage for TSM. There is gameplay and info out there to watch and study to play against TSM. But how do they prepare against a team that you have nothing on? Yeah,
I mean, it's going to be really hard. And honestly, the only thing that you really can do is just like, okay, examine what are the meta compositions. Okay, how are we going to play if they have Neon? How are we going to play if they're running, Breach Raze or Breach Jet, excuse me. Like, what are going to be the differences? Are they going to pull out double duelists, right? Like, just kind of just having a sort of generalized idea of how you're going to approach it depending on their composition. Or, I mean, unless you're gods at coming up with, plans in the middle of the game, which can tend to be a little bit difficult. But the one thing that I do want to talk about here as well is the fact that this is an unknown territory for TSM. So is Abyss. So I feel like going into twice into these unknown territories does not bode very well for TSM. So I feel like if they want the series to be, I mean, obviously if they want the series to be clean, that's a 2-0, but winning here on Haven is probably going to be much easier than going to Abyss, where like generally the meta still is uncharted. Like there really is no defined way to play the map yet, and I feel like the expression for these teams in terms of strategy can be a lot more varied on Abyss than it is on Haven, where it's like, you know, the map's been out since beta, and so like, you know, we kind of have a pretty good understanding of how that map's played.
Yeah, I think as a viewer and us as the desk and the casters would have a lot of fun with Abyss, but that being the decider match in a series, I think is definitely really scary. But even going back to Haven, looking at TSM to close out the series, I'm curious with what TSM is going to be going for, especially when we're looking at Sim, because we have seen that we've gotten this, okay, is it going to be Jet? Is it going to be Neon switching up? Really recently in between the two and kind of going back and forth. And I always love the Neon gameplay, but I'm intrigued with, now that they've had quite a few weeks off, what look we're going to see coming on out, especially since Sim is already cooking on the day.
He is cooking indeed. Neon is part of their map pool that we've seen on Haven, and I really like the Breach comboed with the Neon. Breach is an essential agent, in my opinion, to be partnered with Neon to help you get the ground, to make sure that your corners are going to be cleared. Timing is super important, and they've done their dry runs, they've done their homework, and they have plenty of time to practice this for Haven. It was picked for a reason. They have 75% win rate on it, so I'm talking about TSM actually. They have 75% win rate on it, and they have a very strong attacking side. So it's going to come down to this Neon, in my opinion. Are they going to be gaining the space needed, Roy, do you think?
I think so. I mean, I think their roles kind of fit extremely well on Haven, and it's probably the reason why they have so much success on that map, right? Like they're able to set up Sim for what he does best, which is take first engagements. But
yeah,
on a less serious note, have you guys seen the rise of meta of hand towels for players on stage? They just have like everyone just has their own little hand towel, and they just wipe their hands in between every round and in between the maps to like just make sure their hands don't have any sweat and any grease on them. It's actually kind of cool.
Oh my goodness. I have not been paying attention to that. I'm not going to lie. Maybe I'll start looking at what hand towels the players will be using. I thought you were going to bring up the meta of having the best equipment to game at any point.
Well, that also matters.
Segue to remind the viewers that there is a blacklight chair giveaway happening right now, which you can check the Twitch chat for. And pinned instructions. Try and win yourself some cool stuff. Unfortunately, I don't think that you're gonna win a hand towel with that one, but it'll have to do. Sorry, Ryan.
That's okay. I'll put a letter of complaint for the winner. Don't worry, I got you guys. We'll get you a hand towel somehow. But no, jokes aside, I really did feel like TSM was locked in on that first map, and I'm really hoping they bring that form, because I do want to take us a little bit back into the lore of TSM getting as far as they did once they beat Moist Shopify on Haven, and that was the last time that we saw TSM play, and it was actually 7 that ended up going 27-8 versus Moist Shopify. And if I remember correctly, he was absolutely being a menace with the Odin, just completely Odining every angle constantly, putting a lot of pressure on Moist. And it just, that factor of just annoyance and just constant spammage coming out from 7, it was probably a big reason why they closed out that map against Moist.
They changed their comp. I'm looking at TSM specifically. They don't have the Neon anymore. They're going to be bringing out Jet. Boo. But you know what? We saw Jet with the op on Vine. So maybe that's their game plan. There's 2 different play styles, right, when you compare the Jet to the Neon. So I'm expecting to see more of the op going around. And then we have a Killjoy instead of a Cypher from GLRS.
Hey, considering some of these op shots that Sim was already going for, I'm completely fine with this pivot back over to the Jet, especially too since we now get to see the Sim and Sato Jet be Jet. It's going to be a great map. GLRS, this is the first appearance they have on it. Is it going to be a strong enough map for them to take us to a map 3? Let's find out and head on over to Uber and Wyatt for Haven.
Thank you very much, gang. Yes, look, I mean, we have seen TSM get off the Neon composition, go back to the Jet a little bit more standard, a little bit more straightforward. You know, coming to this game, we were thinking, okay, like TSM do run Neon on the defense. Are they trying to make some trap plays, some early pops on that D side? Maybe we expect to see a little bit less of that. But on the GLRS side, no data really for them on this map for a year. So even if they had played, whatever they played back then is irrelevant. Different lineup, different time, different meta, everything. So that is what we're looking at. A very different look from GLRS, no matter what comes out here. And it's really going to be a question of how effectively can TSM control those extremities. You'll notice they're starting on the defense side here. Once Sim gets that operator in his hands, there were a couple of moments, Wyatt, where Sim's able to do just that. Step up. There's also a nasty sort of double collat opportunity that happened as a hit came onto the A site. We'll see what he can do once he's able to get that weapon developed.
Yeah, definitely prioritizing getting that into his hands will be pivotal for TSM. And we had mentioned it prior and have gone on about how GLRS have not actually played this map at all in 2024, but they are coming in with the most standard of comps, as are TSM. I mean, at Champions, like all of these agents were played pretty much all the time. You're just looking at like 100% of the time being played, Omen being played, 90% of the time Sova being played. Like this is just the standard stuff. Like Breach is always getting played. It is standard. Both of these teams, have scrimmed against these comps a million times. So it's not like Poised is going into this not sure what to do as an IGL. We haven't seen GLRS play this map before. Yeah, we've scrimmed against this comp 700 times before this event. So it's really not a big deal at all.
Definitely worth looking out for the duelists on this map, though. Both Sim and Sato with 8 first kills over the course of Bind. Sato is +6 in that differential. Sim is +5. So both of them able to draw blood early and often, crucially. And it was just those last couple rounds, the fall off from GLRS was palpable. And TSM were really able to crush them on multiple occasions with aggressive plays, regardless of whether they're on the attack or D side of the map. We have a tech pause here, would you believe it? Just before the start of the game. Yeah.
How about that?
It's,
curious.
A game crash there, so
curious.
Should expect to see that rectified a little bit quicker. It's less of a pervasive issue, but these teams will have even more time to settle into the stage here, get a little bit more used to it. Poised on your screen here, of course, with probably still feeling like he has a lot to prove. Coming back here and helming this TSM squad.
Yeah,
from that
back in the offseason before 2024 was really trying to get on a team, climb back on the horse. It's been rough goings for him over the past couple of years. Had a really great run a bit earlier on in the game with that Rise team a couple years ago, with Derek, Superman, etc. And frankly, even from that time, it's got me in my head associating Poise IGLing with Haven. It might just be because of that iconic fake round that they had against 100 Thieves in the LCQ a couple years ago on Haven to close out a game where they sent an Astrowall and Shanks going in deep and a bunch of players on A, and then or on C rather, and then pivot to A and beat 100 Thieves. It was a whole thing. Iconic old Valorant moment, but it's got Poised and Haven kind of, the wires are crossed in my head with those two entities. They're synonymous with each other.
Yeah, and we'll look to see that calling emerge even on this iteration with TSM. Seven having a great map. I know it's been much of the buzz around that player, but his last few rounds took him to 26 and 16 over Bind. Really fantastic showing. 264 ACS. Now it looks like we're moments away from jumping in. Both TSM and GLRS have some very dangerous individuals we saw turn up at the end of Bind. Let's see if they can carry that through here and give us some fireworks as Haven begins momentarily. TSM will start on defense.
It took Sato a second to really get into the game, but once that was the case, went absolutely crazy on the Rays. Back on that prior map. Just have to see immediate swing from Sim. I mean, the rest of TSM in tow trying to get out of Garage and only getting punished. All of GLRS pooling through window and finding a very early man advantage. So much time on the clock still to work with.
TSM went for a defensive pop at the end of Bind as well. It worked out for them. This one was pretty raw, just a challenge with those pistols. Now we'll see GLRS start to make their way over towards that B side. They've thinned out this area considerably with an elimination over towards Garage, one on the site itself. They'll still do their due diligence to check back B and look to get a plant down.
Every TSM player now coming from that B-side link. Very passive setup from GLRS. You can even see Rude, the KJ in spawn, just ready with a lineup. Lucho trying to fight back site. Great tap down. Instant trade from a Proto, though.
A little bit awkward. A Proto hit with a paranoia from Gimon from behind here. Miran going to be able to hold the angle, though. Now we're even in numbers. Rude, though, with a relatively safe position to play from, takes his time in bringing a Proto down. And 7 is one hit. Evil Kick makes sure it wouldn't have mattered how much health he had. 3 on the round for Evil Kick, and GLRS take the pistol.
7 just not able to assist his teammate there at the very end. It was a good setup from GLRS. Nearly got cracked, but stand steadfast. Rude coming very late from that Molly lineup position where he's all the way back in spawn. A great way to start things off for the losers of map 1. This is TSM's map pick. And we just have no idea how good GLRS will be on this map. They're playing a standard comp, but we just don't know at what level they can play it.
Fault line being lined up here for Poised. But that Nano Swarm slows TSM up. They can't really push their way through, and in the meantime, GLRS have crossed already. So the stack in sewer. Not exactly the most timely one. Nobody from TSM is actually peeking or swinging this. It's a Proto, obviously, has the camera over towards A.
Yeah, they're just taking contact off the camera. If it spots someone, instant stun. And the swing is going to come through from 7 and a Proto. Rude might get caught if he strays too far.
Now drone here. Oh, now the Nano Swarm, and the Proto's got no choice but to dance amongst it. Starter's already made his way in with a Vandal, no less. And collapses on the players trying to work it through sewer. Poised naturally smoked off here in heaven as the spike plant goes down just below him. And now TSM, we're going to have to group in for this one. 2 players in heaven. Sato with a respectful distance being maintained, ready to shred the defenders if they try and land up on the site.
Yeah, and at this point, obviously, it's just about damage for TSM, but it doesn't look like they're going to get any of that. Just the IGL Poised standing. Going to go down any second now, whether that be to an enemy or the spike, obviously. GLRS retaining a lot of weaponry for the bonus round. It's going to be a very competent one with the Vandal and a few secondary options for the rifles, but rifles nonetheless.
That's around that Sato brings a Vandal into. Has a great time. As TSM were looking to play off that camera for contact, but not ready for a fast push up through A. And the Nanoswarms really messed them up. They could not do a thing about that inside sewer and ended up getting just a trade in the end. With a double-faced player set up, you're hoping for more. A clean pickup of a weapon, perhaps. And that was far from what happened.
Already we've got the lineup over towards the C side here from Evil Kick, a very strong Sova player on this well-rounded GLRS team, going over top, and it's going to be a fast take into Garage, and nothing from TSM to contend that take with.
Gimon clears it instantly, but Sim goes down. He had his attention elsewhere. The timing was good for Rude to emerge at that moment, but Gimon holds it down. Narango trying to spray him through the smoke. It's getting a little dicey, but he makes his way onto the seaside. Sato was deep. A Proto was not ready for it at all. And now it's up to 7. Clean stuff from GLRS, just straight up fundamentals here. Fast hit to see behind that recon bolt. Now 7, the man of the hour, the man of the map previously, has to face the final boss, or at least it seemed that way. Sato with 3 in the round.
I mean, Sato is just taking individual duels, wins both of them at the end. Good for him. Bonus converted. Not necessarily the recommended play, but it definitely pays off. GMD tried his best, but it wasn't enough. The timing on that hit from GLRS is very cool. I mean, that recon is launched like a mortar, lands 40 seconds later. It feels like as the hit just slowly comes through Garage and they split into the C site.
It's almost like they found the perfect moment where Gimon briefly turned 180 to shoot the dart. And that was where that first kill came from. This time around, TSM have given up that C site. You'll notice they're really not working with much here. Boys with the Guardian maybe looking to passively control that angle. And some pings from GLRS over towards A long.
Some good control so far. Passive setup with the kill trips from a Proto. Has the Sheriff, that high bullet pen. If someone walks into one, maybe can get a cheeky kill just firing through the wall at them. Sim up close with the shorty in hand. TSM just rat gameplay on this round and trying to find a silly kill where they can.
We're down under 50 seconds now. That second wave of utility is about to be used. Sim, he gets it. Doesn't have much health to work with, but still was able to upgrade to a Phantom. Now that ASIC comes a little ponderous, if I'm honest with you. Aldron caught by the trip and a Proto steps up. This is one and done if I've ever seen it. A Proto, yep, there it is. Sato trades it out. Kimor steps up. Not much to be gained from that one at all, but a player advantage here for TSM. They've got good positioning. Their player in sewer is going to be a problem, and Sim just swings out with 20 HP and finds Luke Joe.
Oh, come on, man. The timings are just perfect. Just intuition, a feeling, swinging at the right moment. TSM so excellent on this A anchor. Credit to a Proto playing around the cage nicely. Swings out, finds the first, gives opportunity for the rest of the players to get back in, fight from different angles.
And getting in that sewers position there means that your retake was looking very, very good in what was a 3v2 at the time. We talked about the rack gameplay. Sim sat inside garage with a shorty. Tried and tested method and turns into 2 more kills after the fact. GLRS do need to keep their wits about them. But now we have a proper buy for TSM, and the operator is in the hands of Sim. Oh, now it's not in the hands of Sim.
Yeah, it is in the hands of the dirt, actually, as Lucio just rips the defenders apart. It's only Poise remaining. They want to get a trade on him so badly. They're desperately fighting over this territory, and they get it.
Poise really was asking for more there, but ended up standing in the shock dart that got fired at him. Okay, a little ugly. A lot of early action in this round. TSM still favored that double up inside sewer, this time with an operator. It goes horribly, horribly wrong.
I mean, Lucio just finds this timing to push a little bit forward while the TSM players, specifically Sim with that off, were playing off the slightly deeper line due to that recon dart. I mean, the tiniest of things makes the largest of difference.
Yeah, Lucio wasn't even looking at the 2 players slacked up in that corner. He was trying to chase the player retreating, and still Sim can't find the shot. Maybe he doesn't expect Lucio to move in that way. Put it behind us now. 2 rifles for TSM in this round.
And TSM push into A long so Sim can collect the alt orb, get the blades online. Sato takes a hell of a lot of damage early from GMD, who retreats entrenched in that B site. Boys feeling the pressure, sending out the fault line. Stunned to
Proto, they couldn't follow him up. They forced the Proto out with the nanoswarm there, so no chance to make use of that breach util. That was really just used to cover Poised's retreat. Now a decent amount of map control. GLRS have, with air quotes, that garage position. Sim with the knives, no good. Lucio has been on a tear, and again finds the jet player.
Now Rude, here's the jump away from GMD. Does he try to take advantage of this by pushing into window, just holding, playing it a bit more passively, hoping that someone walked into his waiting arms. Sato, come on, you cannot be getting away with that. No HP, updraft, instant headshot.
30
That
seconds.
is absolutely unreasonable.
Spike planted.
Boys looked in a decent spot there to actually start to break down the push from GLRS with only 2 players on the C. Sato, man, just a little different. Sat inside the smoke at the back of the site. He's Kimon. Rude has been sat here all round, and eventually that patience pays off. Oh, TSM having a rough go of it here. A blacklight flawless for GLRS here in round 6.
Lucio finally coming to life. A lackluster bind performance. Sans maybe 1 round where he clutched up in that Viper's pit. But for a player that's often leading the scoreboard for GLRS, or at least is getting those consistent impact kills, you're looking for a lot more from him. Providing it here on Haven, back-to-back rounds, as the lead expands for GLRS after dropping.
I'm not even mad about it. TSM have to call attack pause here. This is getting out of hand very quickly. They've also got a round now where they've been able to get an operator and an Odin here. They need to make this one stick. They got to get value out of these weapons. The last time we saw Sim pick up an op, he dies instantly in sewer. He's double facing, ready for a player who's not even initially looking at him. There's a 2K for GLRS as the individual just spray transfers and mows them down. They can't give up their weapon so cheaply. They have to be able to get some decent map control behind this. And maybe that means playing towards A long or just holding C, anywhere that can maybe take you out of those compromising situations that Sim has found himself in.
Now, I will say, the last time we saw TSM play Haven, it was against MXS, the game that qualified them for this Ascension tournament. Haven was the last map in the BO3. 7 went 27-8 on the Sova. And I want to say 25 of those kills were with the Odin just holding down mouse 1. He was going crazy with that weapon. So if you can repeat even 50% of that performance, can start to turn the tide for his team.
God, you're going to ask that from him a second map in a row? That was him on Bind as well. Ends up 26-20, I think, at the end of it. Having a monstrous last few rounds with 3K clutches to match. Here, at least, is a very pivotal round in terms of this first half. One of the most important. See, Luke Shaw looking comfortable. Calling for a tech pause. You never know.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Please say it ain't so. No!
Tech pause! I knew it. He was calling for it.
Oh, my God.
Proto looks about as surprised as I am at this result. Wait for confirmation on...
No, my God.
I'm convinced
saved.
They're just trying to bring back the PTSD of the previous map.
Oh, my Lord.
Trigger warning, folks. Long periods of inactivity. If that makes you squeamish, look away.
My heart sank. And now, rejuvenated. The joy of life has returned.
It has been
to me.
resurfaced like the wreckage of the Titanic.
Oh, my God.
Covered in barnacles, dripping with kelp.
Oh, my God. The sigh of relief.
I didn't have to listen to any more facts about Monterrey, Mexico.
No. All right. Operator in the hands of Sim, trying to lock down C long while the rest of the team focuses their attention a bit elsewhere. A site. 2 players stacked up. 7 was there as well, but now drifting off towards B, which TSM have left open.
Now, Operator's not going to get any action at this early stage of the round. And TSM have been propelled multiple times with multi-stacked in sewers. It's just not been a part of the map that's played well for them. Here comes the hit, though. Paranoia and Fault Line both deployed. Player there caught in the tripwire. Gimon going to be quickly to capitalize on that one. Sato sits inside the cyber cage and sees very little except the dome of Gimon emerging from the top of his smoke. And then off we head over towards that seaside. Sim somehow blown up. Not sure where that happened. And the Hunter's Fury not able to punish Luke though for the plant.
Nah, Luke's going to go down, but look at Arango. He's got the ultimate ready to go. Rolling Thunder could win this round out, despite it being 2v3.
One enemy.
Oh, scary stuff. No, okay. Urango and Rude actually get mowed down before
they just
the
swing
Rolling Thunder
too
comes
early.
in.
They just swing too early. That is a tragedy. Opportunity to recover thrown away, squandered the ultimate entirely. TSM recovering that round. And I like how GLRS played it. It was a pretty cool attempt. Rude finds that pick over on C, right when that action was happening with Sato.
I can't believe that. Such a small timing issue. That round is yours for the taking if you're GLRS. Waste of an ult. TSM, they see the ground rippling towards them. They just say, nope, I'm holding them one for the boys. I'll see you on the other side. Absolutely brutal. It's a momentum killer if I've ever seen one. A-long play here. Operator in position. Tim got to be forced off the line by the Fault Line early. Will he post the angle? Sees Sato and thinks, I don't fancy myself there.
Trying to re-peek even. And that is the Sim special. He will repeak a lot of angles. He does not shy away. Oh, my lord. And I don't know if he deserves to be alive after that little maneuver.
That is devious.
It is outrageous. But that, I mean, there were at least 2 players spraying at him. How is he surviving there? Lockdown.
I get the frustration.
Gives the space.
Spike planted.
And again, Luxo will walk away from a plan, only taking a small amount of his health, and he's starting to step up ahead of that aftershock. Good for 2. He's poised in a proto and a head scratcher. Poised will be revealed by the recon bolt. TSM say, boys, I think we might need to pack this up.
Yeah, Poise does pick that up on the run. Luxo almost catching him. So close. I mean, something happened with Sato, man. This guy has been different after that first half of Bind. The first half of Bind was 7 and 12. Second half was something like 20 for 8. And it's just carried that momentum over. That 2-piece was absurd. On the hunt for a proto. Looks like he might survive, but he just doesn't. Luxo, last second, steals that gun away.
Let's see how this went down here. Sim comes out there. Obviously, those aftershocks force some swings on occasion. Some things that can look pretty crazy sometimes are necessities. But that was Sim trying to go full Kang. Never go full Kang, bro. I love it, though. If it works, it looks incredible. He looks like an absolute genius, a mastermind. But he had to retake again with that operator, walked straight into Sato, who was well and truly up on that site. Those retakes on A, pretty hard to pull off.
Oh, those are the moments like that where Sim is very punishable. And here's this exact same hit. That deep recon sent in, bounces up, and the split comes through garage.
Completely caught out there was a proto. Poised here. Okay, Classic's going to work. Luxo, those striding up on the side, confident as you would be in a round like this. Sim has the op to hand. Begrudgingly takes up the angle, goes to 6. Hangs around and gets Sato for his trouble. That might be all he can really ask for here, though.
On the run, but there's no reason for these GLRS players not to chase, and Rude just... Here's these footsteps as well. Knows exactly where he is. You can even see Orango on the opposite side of the map going through spawn. They've got him circled in. Take him out with ease. Operator out of his hands. GLRS just literally rinse and repeat. Same exact C exec. It worked for them before. Y'all think it's going to work again? And it did. They just do it again. Exact same hit.
Yeah, this time, of course, with a massive weaponry advantage. You can step up with a bit more confidence into those classics, those stingers, and take that fight away. And again, TSM fans, things might be looking grim right now, but you got to look to the attack side on this map. That's definitely where they've really been able to make a name.
The bread is buttered.
That's it. They've got good weaponry still to work with here. Sato takes a little bit of incidental damage at the start of the round. The double swing's not good enough to get the better of Sim. He's waiting for evil kick. Okay. Sato still stands his ground and challenges that.
Patience. Perhaps. Oh my god, man.
I mean,
Punished, brought to the 4 versus 4.
Sato is committed there. He has to play because he's swung to the other side of the window. He has to cross the window or try and play from a different angle. So I respect it, but still, risky business. This time, no Poise. He's got a bullet with his name on it. Orango trying to get to the side, caught out, would have been down by the fault line anyway. And Aftershock is going to force Root's positioning. Trapped here between 2 arms of the pincer. After some craziness at the start of the round, though, this has been a fantastic bounce back for TSM. Poise, maybe one of the operator there, but that wouldn't have helped him much with Luxo up in his grill. 16 points of health and but a dream. It'll be a fake TP, walk through the smoke, and Kimon, seen that one before.
That breach utility just getting a lot of mileage when the site exec is coming in. Nicely shut down by Poison and Proto, the 2 anchors towards this B site. Proto just found this perfect timing to swing out of the smoke in that C-Link connector. Nicely handled. I'm still harboring much concern for TSM at this point, though. Feels like they're really trying to force things, and they're not letting the game come to them.
I mean, and in theory, like what Sim went for it at the start of the round. It's not that egregious. Like, you got double swung, he's able to find a kill, and then, you know, goes back for more. Assume there's a player to trade. If Sim gets traded there, it's fine. That was a very odd. Sato just jumped out the window and stood still. Said, all right, I'm going to hold this angle. Speaking of which, Blade Storm available for Sato in this round. Still plenty to buy here for GLRS, and enough for the next as well. We all know things get a little scary when Seven gets an Odin in his grip.
Some significant map control right now for TSM with Sim pushed all the way down C, and some passive info gathering as well from Proto. You can see his cam and A long just on that right now. It gets broken, but did spot out the Jet. Sato making their presence known, working up towards A, and that's called over the 7 rotate as well. Look at him going through spawn. So there are going to be 3 players set up to absorb this site exec.
Smoke towards heaven, as is standard. A Proto eats a knife. Sato gets them refreshed and now is looking for more. 7 pinged out there by the recon. He stepped forward, I think, to try and line up with the Odin. Dangerous now for 7, and he can't do anything. Luxo burns him down.
30 seconds left.
Sato is knifeless, but has a weapon to rely on still, and it's going to be Sim and Poised again around where the operator cannot see the early action Sim would hope for.
Now it got good map control though. It had the 3 players stacked up, but the Vultures just picked them apart one by one. Each player just a little bit isolated from the other, and some nice utility from Arango to force 7 out at the end. Sim just trying to retain the op, Poised to the rifle. They're going to be hunted down. The economy for GLRS is pretty strong.
Yeah, enough that they can afford to try and pry some of these rifles away from TSM, but they are going at it in 1s and 2s. So they have donated 3 guns to the TSM fund. And I think that's all they're going to be looking for in this round. That's your 11th round wrapped up. GLRS take it out to a 5-round lead heading into the last of the half.
Poised as well, kind of building close to that Rolling Thunder for a final round with those kills too. I believe he's only 2 orbs away now.
Here's the final moments, of course. TSM just stripping those weapons away from GLRS. Unfortunately, for them, doesn't make much of a difference in the grand scheme of things. Last round of the half, GLRS should still be able to buy up entirely. Proto very locked in here. Again, we saw him on the deadlock previously, which had a great attack side. Defense side a little rougher, but still a really solid performance from him individually in that map. See on the trademark Cypher this time.
Looks like GLRS intend on continuing to just get this free control of Garage that they've really garnered this entire half. Cam spotted out, instantly broken. We're heading into this C split. It's worked for them a couple times already.
Sato gets in behind the paranoia. A Proto nearsighted for a time. Both cyber cages thrown up though, making Sato think twice about getting more side control. The speed of this. A Proto's able to turn and respond though. Great shooting to bring Sato down. And it's 7 coming out from Garage. Evil Kid gets the drop on him, but still 4 players at TSM standing strong. Spike to hand here. With the opportunity for a plant. Hard to come by, no doubt. No trade opportunity there for a Proto, and Sim a little concerned now. Obviously was holding back on C with that op. Evil Kid can play, I guess, for a Hunter's Fury post plant, but in a 1v2, that's scary. Can get run down midway through that ult.
And not only is he going to play with the Hunter's Fury, but his recon is going to cycle back up in 15 seconds.
30 seconds left.
This is really winnable.
None of that Sova util available for Evil Kick, but at this point it would reveal his position anyway.
I mean, the real concern with using the Hunter's Fury here is that he has no idea where the TSM players are at the moment. He's playing so deep in the site. Perhaps throwing TSM off there, they might think he's playing passively.
He knows. An easy one. And he knows the seconds following it up there. The shot came out from Sim, who's got himself a rifle, a jump peek. Sim is brought down. And what a clutch from Evil Kick. It starts from Garage with a backstab. And then he ferries the spike elsewhere and wins the 1v2.
I love that. I mean, a bit of mind games there, really. The Sova with the recon cycling back up and the Hunter's Fury decides to play forward and fight. You're just not expecting that. I mean, 9 out of 10 times you're thinking this guy is just ready to try and kill you when you tap the spike. One of your players is weak. And he just flips the script, fights forward, wins the duels. I love the confidence there. Ult be damned, doesn't need it.
That is backbreaking. for TSM. Not walking out of that defense side with more than 3 rounds. And the way that they lose it, despite 7's heroics there with a 3K on that C site. After a Proto, which you saw overwhelmed, still able to find that kill on Sato.
And I love that from Evil Kick as well, though, just because even if he does go for the ult, he's not going to feel comfortable popping it anywhere, really. Unless he hears both players on site, you know, then there's a chance he's going to get rushed down as well. Like, there's a lot of ways that can go wrong. And, I mean, just takes the most confident line as just an impressive decision. I love how he played that.
Everyone on this GLRS team has stepped up as an individual. And that's what's made this map such a landslide for them so far.
Yeah, I just don't feel that this team has any weak link. They all have high impact moments. You know, Sato's, obviously his entrying, his duelist play is looking pretty fantastic. Rude in the clutch situations. I mean, matter of fact, they're all getting clutches at this point. It's pretty wild. This is a very well-rounded, very competent team on all accounts.
For so many of us predicted sort of TSM to look strong in this kind of game. Expected them to be a force to be reckoned with the exception of Wyatt, who actually made the pred of GLRS. I respect that. Respect that very much. You can start to see why there's a reason to have confidence in this team. They took TSM to the limit on Bind. And now on TSM's map pick, they are absolutely schooling him. At least they did on that attack side. So let's see what TSM can get going here. Pistol round win, almost paramount at this stage of the game.
GLRS set up for the standard A lobby fight utility. They recon the fault line. Jet ready to fight from long. It's actually going to be just the early shock dart. And it does do some big damage. Sato taking the duel. The Sheriff wants to peek again because he has that dash, but not able to connect. Just falls off.
Fault line catches onto Sato. Sim doesn't really check his left as he moves in because it's Gimon that's going to come out of sewers. Arango is at least able to come in through Link, finds 2, but then chooses to give up the site and try and group up. There is that backstab potential. Rude is taking the long way around here, but this is going to be watched by a Proto.
I mean, right now he's slow walking back through mid because he doesn't want to reveal that he's actually going back towards the B link, but that's going to take him a goddamn long time to do.
It's the paranoia, and that's immediately silenced here by that aftershock, but Arango drops down and finds one. It's up to a Proto now. 6 and 10 for the game. Can't get it done. Rude finally turns up with a classic and gets the job done.
I mean, how is Arango winning that duel? Just launching, flinging his body out of heaven, descends and immediately taps down poise. That is absurd. I mean, that second kill onto Sim as well.
One enemy remaining.
What a round for Arango. Brilliant stuff. And Proto has to play it slow, has to respect the fault line thrown at him. They know he's coming from sewer. So TSM losing that pistol, it is pretty disastrous for them after a lackluster first half. They haven't been able to get their Jet in position to take over the game. There are moments in these clutch situations that they've just turned against them more often than not, even when they're favored in numbers. Now they're scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Forced into the round. Outlaw to contend with in the hands of Sato, who's locked down A long. But it's the C split. Yeah, does Rude find a timing here? He does. Oh my god, what a shot from a Proto.
Ion Sheriff for a Proto. Always good for one. Luke Shaw under pressure now, forced to sidestep away from the fault line announced from the back of the site. Jimon stepping up. Gets himself that Vandal as well. TSM have this plant with Evil Kick and Sato locked out of the site. Sato, of course, with scope weapon to work with at the very least here. But this is tough indeed for GLRS, and what a round. What a round for TSM to start to build back into this game.
Yeah, a bit odd from GLRS there. Recon instantly broken.
No pings off that recon. Shocks to the site. Both Evil Kick and Sato healthy enough to withstand them. Sato and Outlaw starting to get involved now. But no defuse properly. Evil Kick eventually had to show himself, and 7 gobbles them up to give TSM their 4th round. And on a thrifty of all things.
Boy's trying to pick up that Outlaw, but denied at the last second with a moment of indecision. Yeah, it looked like GLRS, they wanted to try to flood back into C, but the timings were very haphazard, caught individually, just not really in position to get in together at the same time. Punished hard for it. Sim does actually buy up an outlaw now regardless, as it's just sheriffs in the hands of these GLRS players. They've still got a massive lead, obviously, but that is the beginning of something for TSM. A necessary risk taken, forced by after the pistol round loss.
TSM know this, right? Pretty customary to force down mid on an eco. And they are playing around this very meticulously. I think their respect for GLRS has skyrocketed over the course of Haven. And they're playing it methodically now. That's a smoke in the garage link.
Enemy killed.
Sim sees one, does not see the second player, but goes back for a peek and sees the dome of Luke Show. Beautiful Chara shot though. Again, takes the jet down. Sato ready to take a peek and move, but Poise gets the drop on him. Wraps up on him now, and both remaining GLRS players stuck at the extremities of B.
Just hunting for any bit of damage they could do. Lucho's already hit one nice shot, dark cover to get into the site. Oh my god, Orango tap. So clean with the ghost.
Still the question of the defuse though. That's the hard ask. Seven wants to light them up here. Lucho gets ahead of the smoke for the time being. Defuse was gotten off of there as eventually the shock comes in and claims Urango. TSM convert on that previous thrifty win. Keep a Vandal coming out of that round.
Enemy killed.
This trade from Lucho and Sewer was pretty nasty, but overall, listen, you'll take that if you're TSM. Still got a couple rifles into the next at the very least.
I think they maybe recovered another rifle at the end of that round, so should be two of them. And buy up around that pretty easily. Might also be a tack pause opportunity for GLRS here. No, instead they're straight on to the next round.
And this is one that is so pivotal when you take the economy of GLRS into account. Doesn't seem like there will really be any ultimates in play unless Seven can find a kill, maybe find an orb. The Hunter's Fury could crush GLRS economy with a round win here. So we'll see if they try to play to that win con. He does have the spike in his hands right now.
Tim wants to close a little bit. Brood spots a lot. Takes hardly any damage for it. I'd call that worth. He's now going to play the close corner. Sim has no easy kills this round. He's going to have to go hunting for him. This is the only part of the map that TSM are testing at all. The rest of it entirely given up. With the exception of that one tripwire to watch the flank through A lobby.
Shadows traveling.
Yeah, smoke down, stall things out. Sim says, no, I don't respect that. I'm going for it. Lucho inside the smoke, though, deals with Poise basically instantly. But Sim is able to, with this rifle, get some work done. And then stands in a nano swarm. Brood is making short work at them here on this C site. Cyber cage for a proto here.
30 seconds left.
But he's not testing it. Aftershocks going to force Seven to move here. No other way about it. And a proto shows his gun barrel. Brood can swoop in and pick that up. It's going to be Orango's. Instead, the result is the same. GLRS don't offer anything up to TSM early. Sim can't find any operator purchase and ends up having to run at the site with a rifle.
Yeah, handled well. Throws the op to Poise to try and get this space entering. I mean, does find the trade, but is laid waste by the minefield that Rude had on that site. Utility pretty spread across the map. The turret was watching B, the alarm bot watching garage, and TSM were just unaware, unprepared to deal with those mollies. Luxo playing that situation and well, getting into the dark cover, finds that perfect timing. Just a very solid defensive round from all GLRS players there. And now look at this trap play. Rolling Thunder ready to go. All of TSM could get caught here. With a paranoia too.
Smokes in play, paranoia followed up, but Sim was within his effective range. He could see both Luxo and Orango. The trap play for GLRS looked good.
Enemy remaining.
But it's really Rude doing the work here through Sewer, and that's
God,
4 for the Killjoy.
My ultimate is ready.
It's just anyone on this team at any given moment
Match point.
can step up, find outsized impact in a round. Also, just such a cool setup. I mean, you really do not expect that. That is an uncommon play to have the breach pushed up in long there, crossing to the box when the dark cover is laid for the attackers to walk up. The second the drone is used, paranoia, rolling thunder just obliterates them. And Rude cleans everything up on the site. Rock solid anchoring. TSM's map pick. They are floundering against the #1 seed from Brazil.
And I want to remind everybody, we have no data for GLRS on Haven. They just haven't played it in officials since a previous iteration of the team. So that's obviously of no use to us. We have no idea what to expect coming in. And in fairness, the composition is straightforward. I think a lot of the strategy, the overarching strategy is fairly straightforward. Yeah, tactical pause. I think Sato is showing us what he thinks of that term in this case. But it is TSM. They are floundering. They are grasping it away to get back into this game. But already at best, it's overtime again.
Yeah, absolute best. I mean, I'm also just right now during this tac pause, kind of harkening back to what we were talking about in the prior game with 2Game showing up, destroying Reda, the #1 LATAM seed. I mean, the Brazilian region, it's been tough globally this year, not finding success in VCT Americas. And we're seeing just a lot of the same faces being shuffled around on the teams that we have at VCT Americas. Look at the players that the region has bubbling under the surface. Like this team has some sick players all around. It's so impressive to watch them.
You stick that? Oh, I can't believe you stick that.
That is bold. That's a we're down 12-5 stick the kind of vault.
Diamond, the TP back towards the spawn of GLRS, gets spotted out. And he absolutely loses the fight. That was pretty unceremonious way to exit the map for TSM. A paltry 5 rounds to their name. And GLRS absolutely steamrolled them on a map of TSM's choosing. So, folks, we're headed to Abyss for a decider.
And already today, we've seen 4 maps. 3 of them have been the Brazilian team just dominating the opposition. Such an impressive performance. The GMD looking a little bit stunned right now. They have to walk that one off as we head to Abyss. The floated map, the decider in this series.
And they're telling us, Poised is telling us they've got their eyes on M80. They've beaten everybody else that matters except for M80, and they're coming for them. But they had blinders on to what the rest of this Americas region has been able to produce, and GLRS have shell-shocked them here in this second map of the series. It took them a little bit while to come alive, maybe to get used to those stage conditions, Wyatt, but once they did, this was not close at all. This was a absolute shellacking.
Yeah, absolutely. Haven has been great for TSM. Haven is a map that Poised as an IGL has always excelled on. He was talking about prior to this series starting that he feels right now with his calling, he's tactically at his best, but they just got bested on their map pick in stunning fashion. So we'll have to see if they can recover things on Abyss.
Yeah, we're going to see you guys after the break. The decider map of our second match of the day. It's TSM and GLRS in this group stage going at it.